Here's a quick video on my 1935 Voigtlander Superb. Now this is another camera where there's not too much info available on YouTube, so I wanted to shoot this quick little video just to give a quick overview of this rather unique camera. So the Voigtlander Superb was made in 1933 to 1939, and it was Voigtlander's answer to the Rolleiflex. So the Rolleiflex came out in 1929, and this camera came out just 4 years later. However, to compete with Rolleiflex, Voigtlander would have to work around the many patents that the Rolleiflex had, and the main one was the fact that on Rolleiflex, the film ran vertically, and Rolleiflex had a patent on that. So what Voigtlander had to do is run the film horizontally. So I'll show you what the film chamber looks like on this camera. And just to give you a reference point, let me lock this up. On a Rolleiflex from a similar time period, or rather all the Rolleiflexes, runs top down. So the issue that this caused for Voigtlander was that the taking lens and viewing lens had to be spaced a lot further apart. So you can see on a Rolleiflex, they're rather close together, and on the Superb, they're far apart. Now the issue you run into here is you have a parallax issue. So the closer you get to your subject, the more of a difference there will be between what your taking lens sees and what your viewing lens sees. So what Voigtlander had to come up with was a way to correct for parallax. And what they did was they hinged the viewing lens and mirror on a special mechanism, so as you focused closer, the viewing lens would tilt down along with the mirror, correcting for parallax. So that's one really neat way that they managed to work around the patents of the Rolleiflex while still maintaining functionality. So I'll go over some of the other features of this camera. So starting from the front, here is your aperture dial. The shutter speeds are set on this rim around the shutter, and you'll notice they're all engraved backwards. And the reason for that is there's a little prism here which reads the shutter speeds in the correct orientation. And also the shutter is cocked manually. So unlike on the Rolleiflex, where it was automatic, this one you have to set it manually. Now, this camera, when it came out, it cost approximately two-thirds the price of a Rolleiflex. So a competing Rolleiflex at the time was $112 US, which is roughly $2,100 when adjusted for inflation. And this one was $79.50, so roughly $1,500 when adjusted for inflation. The lens on this one is a Voigtlander Helier, and this is a 5-element lens, and typically these are the more common lens was the Scopar lens, which it was a 4-element lens, similar to the Rolleiflex lens, which was a Tessar 75mm f3.5. On this side you have the film counter reset button, and here is a red window. Now this is really odd when I was first trying to figure out how to load film in this camera. I believe in the 30s most of the 120 film had markings for 6x9 frame sizes, but not 6x6, because what you did here is you aligned the number 1 frame mark for the 6x9 markings on 120 film by opening this little window. Then once you had it here, you could wind on, and then the counter would count your frames. And this red window was only used to show if there was film in the camera. Here you have a ratchet film advance, but this camera did not have any kind of automatic stop feature. So you had to pay attention to the numbers on the back and make sure that each time you wound the film, the number was roughly centered, otherwise you get frame overlap. And looking at the top, you have your viewfinder with magnifier. The camera also had a bubble level. It's missing on this one. And later on, this one's from 1935. Later on, they had a sport finder as well. So the front would hinge down just like on a Rolleiflex. So that's about it. I guess the last thing I can show you is, if you want to remove a spool, you actually pull down on the feet. And the cool thing too is the interior of this camera is actually lined with a black felt, like a baffle, so that you get less reflections. And I've not seen that on any other vintage camera that I've owned. So that's it. Yeah, let me I don't know if I fire the shutter, just so you get an idea of what it sounds like. All right, there it is. So if you have any questions, just ask in the comments and I will do my best to answer. Hopefully I went over everything. If not, yeah, just ask and I'll do my best to answer. Cool.